So, like we saw, we were discussing that Arnold was not too impressed by the Romantic movement because he thought that the Romantics, though they had the passion and the creative spirit and the artistic fervor, they lacked intellectual genius and they lacked theoretical rigor and understanding. Arnold was a person who was immensely influenced by Hellenic literature, Hellenic art, architecture, and the like. And as far as the neoclassical writers were concerned, if one had to understand Arnold's views on Dryden, Pope, and the other poets of the Augustan age, well, in Arnold's opinion, their poetry is composed and conceived in their wits. Genuine poetry is conceived and composed in the soul. So he was not too happy with the neoclassical poets either. So that is what Arnold's stand is. And in fact, he celebrated a much lesser known poet by the name of Thomas Gray. So he was quite impressed with Gray's writing. Now, if you want to look at Arnold in the light of the background, in the light of the socio-cultural milieu in which he was writing, Victorian age saw a lot of ups and downs. It was not smooth like the Romantic age. Victorian age saw the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution had begun to kind of gain ground and gain visibility, and at the same time you had scientific thinkers like Charles Darwin coming up with who came up with his magnum opus, his work Origin of the Species, in which he dismissed the old biblical belief that man, the first man is Adam and the first woman is Eve. And instead, he came up with a theory in which he proposed or he posited that man originated from the monkey. So, philosophers, thinkers, and writers of this age, they found their ideological ground completely shaken, right? They were in a dilemma what to go with, science or tradition. So what happened was critics fell fell with either one of these. So there were critics, there were people like Arnold who naturally took the support of tradition, and they saw and they tried to fall back on all that was glorious and all that was worthy of celebration and worthy of admiration in the long tradition, in the centuries old tradition of the West. So, which is why he's again one of those critics who wants us to borrow from tradition, who wants us to have a look at the great tradition of Western intellectualism. And he feels that there's a lot that Hellenic classical tradition can offer. So, Arnold, and at the same time, he wants a complete departure from what the Romantics proposed, because the Romantics were very radical in dismissing tradition. And here they were succeeded by the Victorians, who again wanted to go back to tradition. So you see how, in the intellectual history and the intellectual tradition of any culture, you will see these ideologies alternating with each generation. One generation wants to dismiss all that has been done so far, and then there's another fresh generation of thinkers which wants to bring back and celebrate all that is a part of tradition. And then again, there's a subsequent generation which again wants to overthrow all that is celebrated. So this keeps alternating, and this is going to be a recurring pattern throughout the study, even till current times. Even in contemporary times, you will have this kind of an alternating scenario. So, what Arnold seeks is a cultural revolution, and he is of the opinion that a critic needs to be a widely read